Hey everybody, wasn't part of the plan, but things change all the time. Chat E episode this evening was supposed to be taking place on Facebook, but it was not working, so we are going to be moving to Instagram, and that is A-okay. And guess what? I know how to do this. It's already working. Yes. Oh my gosh. Life is so out. All we need. We must settle for this then. That is
Got
Hello.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you're still willing to do this right now. That was absolute nonsense. I am so sorry, so apologetic, because it's never been that bad.
No worries. It's all good.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Oh, I'm great. Thank you. All right, everybody. So I just kind of said this before we got officially started, but this evening's episode of Chat E was supposed to be taking place on Facebook. We were having all kinds of technical difficulties for way longer than we were supposed to. So we transitioned to Instagram because this is where we do things best. We know what to do, and we are good to go. So thank you for being here. So excited. My guest this evening is Donnellan. Just learned how to properly say your last name this evening, which I'm glad that I got to do. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
Awesome. And he is the founder and CEO of brendandonnellanfitness. We actually know each other because I used to be a member at Gold's Gym, and he was one of the coaches. I think we've done some PT training sessions together before, but since I last saw Brendan, he has ventured out on his own and he's got some really exciting things going on. So he's here this evening to share them with us. So, hey, Bren, how are you?
I'm good, Allie. How are you?
Oh, great. Thank you. Do you want
Thanks
to just...
for having me on.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said thank you for having me on.
Of course, very excited. My whole family's been like, oh my gosh, sometimes we miss out on your show, but this evening we're going to make sure we have to watch it. So do you want to kind of give a little intro to yourself and just explain what you're up to and what your business is?
Sure. So, hi, everybody. Like Ellie said, my name is Brendan, and I'm a personal trainer. I have for the last, going on 6 years, been a personal trainer at Gold's. And then with the pandemic, back in March, I got furloughed. And it's always been a dream of mine to have my own business. Gold's was just kind of the next step to getting me there.
Sure.
And so actually this whole thing kind of came to, kind of bubbled to the surface and started back in May. I was still furloughed. There wasn't really any promise in terms of job security and steady income.
Right.
And so to make a long story short, I had reached out to a couple of my clients that I had been training at Gold's, and told them that I was venturing out on my own, or thinking about it, and a couple of friends as well. And then the rest kind of was history. And I got to a point eventually where I decided just to make this my full-time gig. Along the way, I actually linked up with Orange Theory, and the idea there was to kind of just give me a little bit of stability before I actually really made the jump.
Yep.
But it's been going really well. I've gotten a lot of good feedback, and people really seem to enjoy it. And so just a little more than a month ago, I actually resigned at Orange Theory.
Okay.
My LLC became finalized. I finished all the paperwork, and I'm now owner-operator of Brendand Donnellan Fitness, LLC.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah. Well, you've taken a big step, and it sounds like in a short amount of time, a lot of really cool things have happened, and having to go from working for someone else to now working for yourself, I assume, has been a huge transition. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's definitely, you really have to be the one thing to be successful doing this. You really, I feel, have to be diligent in just time management for one, and just, record keeping, all of that. I mean, you're working, like you said, for yourself. There's no one to turn to and say, oh, could you jot this down for me? Could you take care of this? It's all you. So it has been, but it's fun being my own boss so far.
Yeah, no, totally. And you're doing the thing. And I think you just said a second ago that when, went to old clients and have been taking in their feedback, which is huge, because I feel like that's like allowing you to grow in so many areas, and then seeing where you can like dabble and fix things, but also like where you can keep things consistent because they're going really well.
Yep, absolutely.
Wonderful. So we've all been wondering what was going on with Orange Theory. My sister is a huge fan and is there like every single day. So she was like, oh my gosh, Brendan's class. So you were working there for a short amount of time after stopping working at Gold's?
Yeah, so before I kind of finalized my plans with my own business,
Yeah.
I decided that I needed, well, I still have it, I just have it myself now, but I decided that health insurance was a big priority, and so that was kind of the big thing keeping me from making the jump.
Okay.
And so the idea at Orange Theory was I could still kind of be in my element, coaching,
For sure.
and it would give me full-time health coverage for only 12 hours a week.
Wow. Yeah.
Full time, yeah. So the idea there was that I would just use that again, kind of as my new stepping stone, while I kind of built from underneath, and then eventually just transition to this full time.
Yeah, totally. Good for you. That's awesome. And Orange Theory is like a very different, I mean, you're using a lot of the same machines and the moves, but I feel like the way their classes work are very different than like boot camp classes and different things that you see at Gold's Gym or at other places. So I feel like you probably got exposure to some things that you weren't necessarily used to learn more for what you're doing now.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was similar in a lot of ways, but
Right.
also different.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the exposure was great in terms of being able to incorporate that for, just future use.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Definitely. A lot of people, when they're working to start their own business, I know that they get a little anxious when it comes to like where those funds are going to come from and like kind of prioritizing how much money you want to invest into yourself or like what you want to do, So
Right.
when you were starting, did you kind of, what'd you say?
I'm just grabbing my charger. Sorry.
Oh, don't worry. I've had to do that a couple times too. Don't worry, it's good.
Sorry. Keep
But
going.
yeah, no, you're fine. Don't worry. But when you did decide to start your own business, were you ready to go in full force, like with funds and everything like that? Or how did you kind of like dabble and decide like what money you could put aside to that or how you were going to start out?
So that's kind of it's an interesting question. The state of Maryland has quite a few rules and requirements for setting up your own business. So the first thing that you kind of have to tackle, that I had to tackle, was figuring out if I wanted to do like an LLC, if I wanted to do like a partnership, that kind of thing. I knew that I just wanted to be my own boss and work for myself. In terms of the funds, it's not really, there wasn't a whole lot of funding, I guess, if you will, needed to start up. It's just a matter of getting through the little loops and the paperwork. I would say for anybody that's thinking about, starting up a small business, definitely go for it. It's a lot easier. Yeah, it's a lot easier than you actually probably think. I don't mean to just get super specific and throw, dollar amounts out there, but I would say, I maybe spent a couple $100, to get this going.
Right.
And a lot of that is just one-time fees, to set up, your company and, get yourself filed within filing status for the state, for taxes, things like that. So once you get through the initial, once you get through the initial kind of steps, there's really not a whole lot in terms of funds that, you need to put into starting something like this.
No, I think that that's really important, and everybody's different. And some people don't. I mean, I guess everyone at the end kind of has an LLC of some sort, but I know people start from different areas. But I think that can be really intimidating because depending on your business, you do have to, some have to invest more than others, but there's always some sort of an investment. So I think that's good for people to know, especially if they do live in Maryland, that it's not too crazy. It's affordable and then worthwhile so that you're not getting in trouble with taxes and the government and all that stuff.
Definitely affordable. You just have to, like I said, come in knowing what your goal is and what you're after. So like for my field, being in fitness, there's obviously some risk of injury there. So, there's different options, but the LLC was the best option for me. So like I said, you just have to come in prepared with kind of what your field is. And in terms of the actual funding, it's really just, the filing, and that's the same regardless of what option you pick. So
Right.
don't be scared.
For sure, no, and just doing the research, like you said, an LLC was the best one for what you're doing, but for someone else, a partnership or something else might be the best choice. So it's like doing the research to figure out what's the best thing for you.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, literally short amount of time. It's so impressive what people can do in such a short amount of time when they put their mind to it. So I'm really pumped that you're doing so well.
Thank you.
Of course, you're welcome. So I personally know you as a personal trainer or like a Gold's Fit teacher, instructor, but when did and we've known each other a couple of years, but when did your actual fitness journey begin, and did you kind of decide that this was what you wanted to be your occupation?
So that started, I had kind of the unusual winding journey through college. I started out my freshman year, I was a economics major, so not even related to fitness.
Mm-hmm.
But I had gotten at that point into fitness myself, and just by coincidence, I happened my freshman year of college to take, or I'm sorry, sophomore year of college to take a nutrition class just as a schedule filler,
Yeah.
and I fell in love with it. I was already really involved in fitness for myself.
Sure.
And once I kind of started learning about how cool this was and just, putting everything together, that's really when I decided I wanted to, switch. I switched to kinesiology and got my bachelor's of science in kinesiology, which is basically the study of the body. So anatomy, physiology, you learn all the muscles, all the joints, movement patterns. And I knew that that's what I wanted to pursue. In terms of myself, when I actually got my fitness journey started, that was probably in high school. I was never really somebody, I had friends that were super fit and really into they played football and they were into their lifting and workouts. That wasn't me. I played baseball and hockey. So I was fit, but really started taking it serious.
Huge guys.
Yeah. Really, really kind of made a turn, I think, and started my journey senior year of high school. That's when I took my first strength and conditioning class, and the rest was history.
Cool. I feel like for some people, the fitness, health and fitness and all that stuff, nutrition, really just like clicks, and it's like, totally like ready for it. And then for other people, it takes a little bit longer. I feel like I'm such a roller coaster with that kind of stuff, but I'm trying.
It's a process. It's one of those things where even the best of the best, it's always a work in progress.
Sure.
And, I tell my clients, it's like your car. You could have 4 of the best tires. If one of them is not the same air pressure as the other 3, you're going to be going down the road like this. And we obviously don't drive a car, and it's maybe for some people you're like, what the heck are you talking about? But for the fitness part and for the diet part, for the nutrition part, and then the recovery part, all those things fit together. And even, like I said, even the most seasoned, fitness guru or whatever, they'll tell you it's constant tweaks to their workout program, their diet, their nutrition.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's really motivating and encouraging, because even as someone who is super consistent with your health and wellness and all that stuff, hey, sometimes I'm not perfect all the time.
Yep.
I don't have cheat days and all of that stuff, and I think that's a lot of times when people get into fitness, or if they're kind of intimidated, it's something new for them. They're like, okay, so I have to change my lifestyle completely. You have to make changes for sure, but there's certain things that you can maintain.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about balance, in my opinion. I'm not one of those trainers you ever hear say, there's some trainers out there that it's like grass and vegetables and that's it. And everything is so, yeah. My approach to training, both for myself and my clients, is more about moderation and balance. Yep. Monday through Friday, I try to have them, as strict as possible with their workout, regimen and their diet. And then, sometime Friday through the weekend, treat yourself, give yourself that reward for, getting through the week and, crushing your workouts, hitting all your, whatever you're working on in terms of your goals for your workouts, hitting your goals for your diet, staying consistent. That's that's, I think, the biggest way that you can stay successful on this journey that we're all on in terms of fitness, rather than, you know, these roller coaster things that people like, they try these fad diets, or they try, just to restrict everything, and then it never works. They fall off the bandwagon, and
it's discouraging.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
always try to do your best to be consistent, but not be consistent to the point where you don't let yourself enjoy, certain things in life, like a donut or ice cream, or whatever.
No, for sure. I'm keeping track of all the questions people are asking so that we make sure that we don't miss anything. Someone just asked where you went to college.
So I graduated from University of Maryland, College Park.
I knew that. Awesome.
Yep.
So as of now, as you've started your own business, what type of services are you providing?
So right now what I'm offering is, I'm a mobile personal trainer. So basically mobile, yeah. So basically what that means is, I come to your house. Obviously right now with COVID, it's a little different.
Right.
But I come to your house, I provide all the equipment, and I offer either a 30-minute session, or an hour session.
Mm-hmm.
And I also offer group training as well.
Good.
Yep.
Awesome. Giving people options. Everyone who is on Know at Any Opportunity, if you have any questions for Brendan, please feel free to drop them below. I am keeping track, and they will be asked. So thank you for all of those who are participating. So this is a big one and was brought to my attention earlier before we started.
Okay.
But quarantine is really hard, especially with goals. I mean, I think there's some people who have been like soaring, doing so well in quarantine, and have lost all this weight. But then because there's so much sitting around and like lack of control and like unknown, it's just kind of scary. A lot of people are also drinking, eating, all this stuff all the time. So what kind of tips could you give to people right now, especially during a time where like we don't know what to do, so we might kind of be straying away from that out of like fear or concern, if that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So most people right now, this is a general if you're one of those people that find yourself, not as active as you had been, or kind of missing your routine, most of the gyms still have some sort of restriction in place. It's very hard right now. The biggest piece of advice I can give anybody is try to do something every day, and don't let yourself get in your head to where it's, maybe you're used to going to the gym 4 times a week and doing some sort of weightlifting program or cardio or taking classes. Right now, that's, for some of us, not an option. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing that you can do is do something every day, whether it's yoga, whether it's a home workout you find on YouTube. I have on my fitness Instagram, I have a bunch of workouts that people can go, and if that's something you're looking for, you can go and check those out. Maybe it's somebody you follow. Maybe it's just getting outside for a walk. That's the biggest thing, the biggest tip I can give everybody. When we kind of get off of our routine, and when we start to get in our head about, oh, I'm not doing this, or I'm not doing that, that's when we can start to spiral. And so just a simple thing is getting outside, walking, jogging, getting some fresh air. That can really help with your mental mindset, which will go a long way in, just helping you stay motivated, stay consistent, even if it's not quite what you're used to doing until we get through this quarantine period.
I think that's key. I think that's really good. I just set a goal for myself but at least my 10,000 steps, and I'm trying to get back on working out like 5 times a week, just like doing it, and then even just like maintaining those steps throughout the week is like so key. And just having your watch, and it, if you have an Apple Watch or anything of the sort, it definitely keeps track of a lot for you. So you have something else kind of holding some of the accountability for you too.
Absolutely. And there's all kinds of apps too, if somebody out there that's watching is a runner or a jogger or walker, and you're not somebody that is very good with setting goals for yourself, you can, like Ellie was saying, you can use these apps, and it'll tell you, 1 mile completed or 2 miles completed, and you can just depending on what your goals are, you can work off of that to, you know, to get wherever you're trying to get. And the other thing too, I would say, is if you're somebody that just maybe this time you were, like I said, you know, I use my previous example, you were used to working out 5 times a week, and then all of a sudden it's maybe 1 or 2 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
When you get back to whatever you were doing, you're going to find that you're not where you were.
Right.
And that all goes back to the mindset. It's very, very difficult, or very easy, I should say, to get into a mindset of woe is me. You know, I used to be this, I used to do that.
Right.
We can't focus on that. So whatever you're doing daily to get your brain and just get yourself moving, that's what you need to focus on in that particular moment, and just treat this as steps to get you back to where you were, as opposed to going from 0 to 100, realizing that you're not quite there, and then just starting that negative feedback loop of, you know, things that will eventually spiral and get you off track.
No, definitely. And right now is all we have. So if you have a goal and like the intent to like get back to where you were in the past, you can. You've been there before, but you have to be consistent. And
I think this is and I think this is a good time too for a lot of people. You know, there's been some hope out there with the vaccines that, you know, the light might be at the end of the tunnel. We might be able to hopefully resume some sort of normalcy in areas that have been affected relatively soon. And so this is a good time if you're one of those people that's really been affected from a fitness standpoint. This is a good time. We're entering that new year. It's a great time to make yourself some new goals and just treat 2021 as a fresh slate. Aim high. Yeah.
And the name of your chat was Fit for 2021. And we, as Brendan and I were discussing, we thought it was kind of cool because it's Fit for 21. So you could be fit, healthy, and you know, from a fitness standpoint for 2021, but you could also be like fit and ready. So oftentimes that means like we're the same person going into the next year, but we're also ready to make changes, like doing something within our mindset to make a difference and be the best version of ourselves.
Absolutely. Yep. Very well said.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So questions have been popping up below, so I have a couple more I'd like to ask. So someone asked, do you have age groups in specific that you work with, or are you pretty flexible with the different ages that people can like use
train?
Yeah, train.
So I have a bunch of various certifications, and I'm a trainer that does not like to specialize in a certain area. I like to be very broad. So right now, my youngest client is 10, and my oldest client is 75. And then I've got everything in between. So I don't really have any specific age ranges or ages that are preferred to train. You know, if you're looking for consistency, accountability, and some structure, then that's me.
I think that's great. That opens so many doors for you to not be, you know, within a certain age range, because people are like, oh, wow, he wants to work with me. And then the whole point of like personal training is your trainer specializes and assists in like the areas in which you need it most.
Yep.
So the fact that you're helping a lot of different ages is really beneficial. And a lot of people do need training starting at a young age, like when they're kids, like pre-adolescent.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's really good. So someone also said, if you said you drive to people's houses, let's say someone lives pretty far from you, but do you provide any virtual programming? So like, would you set anything? I don't know if that's like something that you've already started or something you could be doing in the future, but someone asked if they live too far from you and were interested in you as a trainer, would you be able to provide virtual programming so that you could be their trainer and you do something online?
Yep, absolutely. So that was, very good question. So I do have a couple virtual clients currently. We found so far that the best setup that works for myself and the client is Skyping. So basically we have just like a regular, you know, training session. If it was at the gym or at your home, you know, 8:30 in the morning, I get online, I call him or her, they answer, it pops up, and then we just have the screen set up to a point where I can still see form. That would be the one thing that would be kind of an Achilles heel. Just making sure that you have your screen set up, to a point where I can still see your form and coach you.
Right.
But absolutely, it's very effective, especially if you have any sort of equipment already at your house.
Right.
Then it just takes out the whole distance issue. So that is definitely something I offer. And yep.
You've thought of it all, Brendan. Wow, good job. Especially, that's great. I think that people have so many different reasons why they would be doing a virtual training session right now, whether it be for health reasons, or it be because they live far away. And I think that eventually most people will want to go back into the gym, but there are still going to be some people who are hesitant for a while.
Absolutely.
So
this has been... No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just, that's pretty much all I was going to say. And I think that virtual things, we've learned through this pandemic that there's so many things that can be done virtually that we didn't realize. Like certain people, I have a good friend of mine who's never going back. Her office shut down. Like they're never going back in person, and everything's just going to be virtual for her building, like on a permanent basis. And so I think a lot of people, that's going to be the case. And although many people are pumped to get back in the gym, like a lot of people touch that stuff. A lot of people aren't going to be interested in going back for a while or at all.
Yeah, so that's a very good point. So this is really, I think, from somebody that's in the fitness industry,
Right.
Just my opinion, but for what it counts, I think that this is really going to retransform and reshape the fitness industry, similar to, for those that are looking for some way to kind of understand this, similar to what Amazon has done to brick and mortar stores.
To what did you say? Sorry.
Similar to what Amazon has done to like retail stores, like brick and mortar stores.
Yeah.
So you're seeing more and more trainers or gyms or, whatever, that are offering mobile services or virtual services because that it's a convenience thing where I think switching kind of, you're seeing it with Amazon again. That's a perfect example. Everything that you could possibly think of right at your fingertips. So with fitness, everything that you would use at a gym, right at your front door. And people are realizing that, like maybe I don't need to spend, your standard gym membership. A lot of the gyms around here seem to charge, $35, $40 a month. And then on top of that, if you're, doing training or any sort of
$100 a month.
Yeah, exactly. 30.
Some of them
30,
are really
yeah,
expensive.
you have a gym that's 35. That's very cheap. You should keep that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think a lot of people are just realizing that, they like the convenience of, hey, you know what? I don't have to, on a winter morning, drag myself out of my nice warm bed, get myself dressed, and then drive to the gym. My trainer can just show up at my door or show up on my computer.
Yep.
I log in, boom, he tells me what to do, done.
Boom. I know. You made me think, I ordered an Amazon package tonight that I needed for soon. It's going to arrive between 4 and 8 a.m. tomorrow.
There you go.
And I'm like, okay, perfect. Like I need it. And it's not that much of a rush, but just happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, just so convenient, because otherwise you're at the store for so long. And yeah, the world's going to be different always, at this point. And we'll get back to some kind of like normalcy, but it's not going to be the same ever. So,
Yep.
And it opens the door for like a lot more opportunities for you. And I think that some virtual stuff, as much as like for me, I'm such a people person, so I love like interacting and being in person with people. But then at the same time right now, like we're doing this virtually, but it's very personable. Like we're still able to talk. You can still like form relationships and like do things virtually. It's different.
Yeah, it is. It takes some, if you're a people person and you're used to being around people, whether it's a gym or just your social environment,
right.
It takes some getting used to. It's a little different. Probably kind of joking, but kind of serious. The biggest thing, like you go to the gym, the biggest thing I noticed when I started doing this was, okay, so I'm sitting there watching my client work out. There's no background music. Like sometimes you go to the gym, you don't even realize what's playing.
Right.
And then you're like,
when you don't have it.
Right. And you're like, whoa, this is a little different. But I mean, again, going back to the convenience thing, it's little things like that might be different, but you get used to it. And, I just think convenience is just the name of the game here. I think that's really going to be something that people value more than maybe what their normal routine was, even once we're past this.
Yeah, no, definitely. And now that there's no background music, you weren't in charge of the music before, so now you can make your own playlist.
Exactly. There you go.
Now you have your own jams playing in the background. You pick and choose, ask people what they want to hear.
Exactly. Yeah. Custom to the client.
I'm over
You want
here
to rap?
thinking
You
I'm
want to
so
listen to
funny.
rap today, or you want to listen to
I know.
workout?
But you
There we
guys
go.
I know. R&B. I think I'm so funny. Okay. So at this point in time, this is what you're doing full time, correct? So no more Orange Theory, no more goals. This is your full time gig.
Yep. So this is my full-time gig.
Good for you. That's great.
Yep, I am working currently to continue building.
Yeah. Of course.
And yeah, I'm working with my website designer. I have business cards that have been ordered, so I'll be able to give those out. I think you said you'll put the info.
I'll add everything at the end.
Yeah, so if people would like that, they can see that. And yeah, that's kind of really where we're at. We're doing this full time and loving it.
Brendan, you understand that this is a big deal because clearly if you have enough clients that you're able to do this full time, that means you're very credible. You've been doing a lot of good stuff beforehand because people want to sign up for you and with you. People want to sign up with you to train. And yeah, I'm just really excited, especially because I know you personally. This is very, very cool. When I shared with my family, guys, my whole family knows Brendan. We all went to the same gym for a long period of time. But when I told them that you were going to be on the show, they were like, oh my gosh, good for him. Like, we love his classes. We love him. We're so proud of him. So, like, this is really, really great.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys are great. Yeah, we've been. How long has it been? It's probably been. I think you said this at the beginning,
Probably
but
3 years.
at least, yeah. I remember. I mean, I started. I was teaching the evenings, and your mom was religious at that 5 p.m. class.
Whole family.
Yeah.
My dad
And
was
then
5:30 a.m. Mom was 5:30
Yep.
Yeah, and then all of us were there all the time. It's probably been like 3 years.
Yeah,
So,
I would say it's hard to believe, but it probably has been at least 3 years. Yeah.
but it's really cool to watch people grow and see how things change and venturing out on their own, because one of the reasons I do Chat E, I feel like I say this almost every episode, especially because recently the people that I've been interviewing, you can tell by the way they talk and like the way they respond to the questions that I ask that they're so passionate about what they're doing, just like I'm really passionate about talking to people. Like that you can tell by their like responses, body language, all of that stuff, tone of voice. And it's huge because people fall in love with you. People like go after your business because of you. Like you are the face, you are the personality, everything of your business. And so your passion for fitness, knowing what you're talking about, like all of that, those kinds of things are evident in our conversation right now, which makes it like people so much more inclined to go after hiring you as like their personal trainer.
Yeah, the other thing that's kind of, I guess maybe not unique, that's probably not the right word, but
Unique
I've, I've never been somebody that's been like you. At the end of the day, this is a service,
right?
And I'm a salesman. But I've never thought of myself as somebody that is going to go door to door or try to get you to sign up with training, based on whatever price talking or any of that stuff that kind of your used car salesman would do. I like to showcase what I have to offer, whether it's just, hey, I'll do a complimentary workout for you or a complimentary assessment. Give the client or the person a few pointers, or things that they might be able to work on.
Sure.
And, really from day one, and I say this in complete honesty, like I built my business and got myself to where I am,
right?
Just by word of mouth and just by kind of, like I said, showcasing what I have to offer as a trainer and not so much focused on the number side of things or the sales pitch, I guess, if you will. And that just comes from me being so passionate about, for me, it's not necessarily, yes, I'm making a living, but it's more about changing people's lives and getting people to be passionate about fitness and not so much, hey, I made, X amount of money today.
Yeah. No, and I mean, and the money comes. That's like the thing too. I posted something on my story the other day, and one of my good friends asked, like, if you would prefer to be famous or to have a lot of money, what would you pick? And I was like, honestly, I think I'd pick to be famous, not even because like I want everyone's attention, but I feel like if people know who I am, they listen to me. Like I have a voice, and like you're going to listen, and the money's going to come. Like, I'm doing something I'm passionate about. I'm telling you about the like crap I don't agree with. Like, I'm sharing my voice, spreading positivity, like doing these things, but like, you're listening to me. You know who I am, and so like you care to listen. And I feel like, yeah, and that's great. The money, it's important to live and everything, but like that's not what it's about.
I've always been I've always been a big believer that money can't buy you happiness. That happiness has to come from within. So not to get too cheesy or anything, but again, if you're not doing something with your profession that you're passionate about, or that, you know, brings you joy, brings you, you know, happiness, and it's all about the money, like at some point that flame's going to burn out, and then you're just going to be left wanting more, but more in terms of money is not going to give you that feeling that you are seeking, which is that happiness for what, or that passion for what you're doing.
And you're also doing something you don't really like that much. Like, it's like you're wasting your time, and so many people settle. So like right now all we have is time, so why not figure it out, you know? And not, like, fuels our fire. I don't know.
Yep.
But in a positive way. So I shared this last night on my chatty actually too, but I am reading this book. It's something, I don't know, I just started it. It's like an audiobook. I don't even know the title. It's bad. But anyway, the book said, everything is up for grabs and nothing is original. Just talking about when you're starting a business, there's a lot of things that a lot of people are doing. Like, there's a lot of personal trainers, a lot of artists, a lot of, you know, but the thing is what you do is you reinvent the wheel. I'm a teacher, and so all I have to do, or all the time I was like, oh my gosh, I'll come up with this on my own. But then someone else has already done it. So like, why make it hard and just like figure it out, you know, like add on to something. So I think what you just shared a couple minutes ago was that you are reinventing the wheel and being super authentic and real with who you are, and bringing that forward in your brand with your personality, that like people pick you over others, you know?
Absolutely.
And the word of mouth is really huge too, because I know a lot of people think that like social media is where it all comes from, and social media is huge, but I've heard from multiple small businesses that word of mouth has done so much better for them than social media, because social media is really hard. It's like an algorithm, and you really have to like figure it out. And once you get it, most, you know, but it's definitely hard. So word of mouth and talking to people is definitely, I think, the way to go about getting the word out about your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just for me too, but if anybody out there is thinking about it, or, you know, if they're watching this, maybe they're not, you know, in fitness, but they've got some other small business, whatever you can do to just get yourself out there. Once you have one client, no matter what you're doing, you just never know who knows who. All it takes is one person. Sure. All of a sudden you've got 2 clients, you know, 4 clients, 6 clients, whatever.
Right.
And yeah, you just have to keep the faith and keep positive. As long as you keep a positive mindset and just keep trying to strive to be the best at whatever you're offering each time you go out to deliver your service, you know, good things will come.
For sure. 100%. Key.
Yep.
Key. Yes. So since you're already doing this full time, what is your kind of like goals for the future? Do you want to have your own like gym or studio? Do you want to like just have a certain amount of clients a day, or like be hiring other people and kind of be the head? Or what is your thought on what you want for your future with your business?
So I put a lot of thought into this, and originally I was like, I want my own gym, and, you know, this would be so cool to be a gym owner. And but then the more I thought about it, that's not really, I don't think, the path that I want to go down. I'm happy with maybe a small studio at some point.
Sure.
The one thing with, obviously right now it's a pandemic, so that makes things a little different than what it normally would be.
Right.
But we've been doing a lot with my clients, just for social distancing and, you know, to keep everything as safe as possible. We've been doing a lot of training outdoors. Well, now that it's December, a little chilly sometimes. So
you never know in Maryland, literally.
Yeah, sometimes you get 60s, like Christmas Eve this week, and then sometimes you'll get like the next day, like 20.
Right.
So
it's gonna be 46 tomorrow. I checked because I was outside. So you just never know. It could be in the middle. Yeah.
So that would be I guess kind of a short-term goal is, even post-pandemic, figuring out maybe a small space.
Yeah. A good investment. And a good idea.
Yeah. But in terms of long-term vision, I I see myself doing this. I see myself having maybe a small space, and just really getting to a point where, it sustains myself and my family.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I think that that's really cool, and it's exciting because your vision is going to change all the time. And you just
Yep.
said like owning my own gym, that's so cool. But I just wrote on, if I'm ever looking down and just taking loads of notes. But it's like I wrote IDK. Like you don't have to know. Stuff's gonna change for you all the time. I just
Yep.
made a new dream board last night, and from my old one that I have, for my new one for 2021, I can't even tell you how many things are different. But it's a good thing, you know, and
That
it's
is
like
a good thing.
improvement and like realizing what I want, what I don't. But it's just part of it, and you don't have to know. But I think that that sounds great, and you'll be continuing to do what you love.
Yep.
So that's so cool. So someone else had asked, if this was earlier on, but if you were to break, when you were talking about exercising and kind of during the pandemic and all this stuff, trying to find different means of doing so and just making sure you're incorporating some kind of exercise into each day. They said, what if you were doing 15-minute increments 4 times a day instead of doing like an hour all at once? Is that still just as effective as doing your full hour?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, that would probably be more, not probably, that would be more effective, simply because the research has shown that if the longer that we sit for extended periods of time, the worse that is for our health and
Wait,
our
can you
fitness.
say that one more time? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, so the research has shown that the longer we sit for extended periods of time, the more damage is a good way of saying it, the more damage that does for just our long-term health. Muscles start to get tight. Core strength, when we're sitting, core strength is not there because you're sitting.
Right.
But unfortunately, a lot of people, we have, the way that our society and our jobs are set up, a lot of people don't have the luxury that I have where I'm on my feet and I'm moving around all day. We sit at a desk or we sit at a computer.
Right.
So the more, again, to circle back to answer that question, I'm not very good with short answers, but
That's
I'm trying.
Okay. You're doing great.
To circle back to answer the question, yes, if you can get up multiple times throughout the day, even if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, if you're doing that multiple times a day, that is absolutely as, if not more effective as doing an hour workout all at once.
Gotcha. I mean, that makes sense, but I feel like also if you're doing like 15-minute increments, even if it's just like a brisk walk, versus you're not going to do like 15 minutes 4 times of like high intensity, like I'm getting nasty sweaty and then need to shower 4 times.
Yeah. So
it's still finding means of moving.
Right. So if you're doing intervals throughout the day, it's probably a little more lower impact, and
Right.
lower impact is not a bad thing. That's just like you said, it's just the type of, or the intensity is just a little different. But if you take those 4 or 5 or whatever multiple bouts of exercise
Right.
and add them up, you're going to get the same intensity as you would just doing it all at once.
And hopefully get in all your steps.
Yeah, exactly. 10,000 steps, 10,000 steps a day, everybody.
10,000. I'm going to try and move to 11,000 hopefully soon. Sophia just said my college coach would tell us to do planks while looking at our notes or answering emails.
Yeah.
Finding ways to incorporate. That's awesome. So that's so funny. So how much is too much? I don't know if this question, Bob MRT, it says, how much is too much? Like 3 hours a day? Does that mean, what do you mean by that? Like, is too much 3 hours of like sitting or 3 hours of moving? We'll wait for a response, or unless you know how to answer that one. I'm not completely sure what the question was.
Yeah, so it kind of goes both ways. So people sometimes get caught up with the whole like more. They think we see a lot of pictures of celebrities or, Instagram famous.
Perfection.
Yes.
So you
there
think.
You go. Yeah.
Yes.
And so, he clarified working out.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So we get this like this preconceived idea in our head that, to look like this, I've got to do 6 hours a day in the gym or, whatever. All that's going to do is really hurt yourself in the long run. You might be able to get away with it for a couple months, a year, whatever, especially if you're younger. I just turned 30 this year. I can tell you for a fact, this is going to sound silly to a lot of people, but I already feel my joints. And so being smart with your training, you know, my sweet spot that I like to aim for with myself and my clients is about 45 to 60 minutes on days that I'm doing some sort of workout. If it's, you know, you're just walking, jogging, anything like that, you don't really have to put a time per se on that. There's no such thing as maybe too much of that. But you don't want to be doing 3, 4, 5 hours a day or putting pressure on yourself to, you know, in the morning hit some sort of weight workout and then in the afternoon do some sort of cardio and then, you know, maybe do some sort of abs. Like, that's unnecessary. If you can aim for about per week, if you can aim for about, and this is per Academy of Sports Medicine recommendations,
He knows it
if you
all.
can if you can aim for about 75 to 150 active minutes a week, that's kind of the sweet spot, I guess, if you will.
How much did you say? 75 to 150?
75 to 150 minutes per week.
I feel like that's not even crazy.
It is, yeah.
That's not even that bad. Because the thing is too is that you were saying like you'll hurt your body and like feel your joints if you do that, but like your mental health and like your self-esteem, if you are working that hard to like portray something that's just like, don't have to look like that, you're beautiful, I promise. I mean, it just hurts. It's not just physically, it's just like, ow, like my heart.
Yeah, you get to a point where it's almost a competition with yourself.
For sure.
Where it's like, oh, I just burned 500 calories, great. So like now I can have half a donut and, you know, like I earned it. You didn't earn anything. If you want a donut, go have a donut. You don't need to justify 5 hours in the gym because you just had a donut. Like, it's not going to. Everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Assuming that you're not doing, you know, that unhealthy 5, 6, 7, whatever it is, hours a day of training, because that's just gonna derail you in the long run. You might think it works short term to get you to where you want to be, but your body's not meant to be that active that much, that frequently.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I feel like when you go to the gym too, there's certain people that you see that you're like, you're here a lot. Like every time I'm here, and I come like different times of the day, but for some reason I feel like you've been here since this morning. There's some people that definitely stay there for a long time.
And you really too, you have to be, I already mentioned about time management, so you know, you have to be, I don't like to spend 5 hours in the gym. Some people will do that. I'm more like,
that sounds dreadful.
45 to 60 minutes, you know, get in or whatever, wherever I'm working out, do my thing, accomplish that, check it off the list, move on to be productive with the rest of my day.
For sure. That literally sounds dreadful. I cannot even imagine. I can't even imagine.
Somebody mentioned, I think I saw in the comments, somebody mentioned above, or not above, that they would look at their notes while doing a plank.
Yeah.
And we're kind of talking about extremes here. So I don't know if anybody has seen or if you've seen or heard the guy that he just recently held a plank for 8 hours straight.
Did you see my face just change?
Yeah, 8 hours straight.
I struggle with 1 minute sometimes.
As just from a trainer, I feel like if any other trainers are out there, they'll back me up on this. Planks are not meant to be, like, if you're holding a plank and you can struggle or you can do it for more than 5 minutes, you're doing something wrong. 8 hours, like 8 hours. And I was like, what did this guy do? It was a guy. What did this guy do to keep himself, like, how did he hold it with perfect form and everything? His form was a little spotty. I watched the video. I'll be honest with that.
Gotta say.
But he was like, he had some sort of, I don't know if it was his phone or notebook or something that he was doing to keep himself occupied and I don't know. I just, that is a classic. Yeah, that's a classic example of why.
That is just literally psycho.
It's just too much. Your body's not meant to be, even if it's just a plank, you know, something where you're just sitting there holding it, your body's not meant to do anything for 8 hours straight or 3 hours.
But you didn't say like 8 minutes. Like you said 8 hours.
8 hours.
406 times 8 is 48, right?
Yeah.
480 minutes.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that sounds dreadful. Oh, ow. Literally, sometimes at a minute, I'm shaking. I'm ready to get down when the timer beeps. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that's how a plank should feel.
Not
After
in the best shape of my life. I hopefully the best shape of my life could hold at least like 3 minutes. I don't know, but right now, no way. 1 minute's like a long shot. We kill it when we can do 1 minute, but that's probably it.
that should be, I mean, that is about the limit in my opinion. You do anything more than that,
Nice.
like every once in a while, sure, test it out, see how you feel. But again, just going back to our conversation about how much is too much. Classic example, just unnecessary.
That's nonsense. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, my lovely friend Carlos, he's one of my biggest supporters. He's literally so great, but he works for UPS, and he said that he, with his job, will get between 15,000 and 25,000 steps a day.
That's fantastic.
I know, good for you. That's insane.
That is awesome.
That's crazy. Excuse me. That's a lot of walking. It's happened like a couple times, but very rarely does that happen. I mean, especially if we have to drive everywhere. I mean, okay, so slight change of subject,
Sure.
but I mean, we're still in the fitness route, but I had just, I don't know where the general question is really headed, but nutrition. I
Sure.
feel like, so we've been talking about exercise, but I feel like nutrition for a lot of people is a big one. Something that you've emphasized and said a lot about is that you don't have to cut out the things you like to lose weight, or you don't like, maybe you won't eat a cheeseburger 3 times a day, or you won't have a cheeseburger every day, but that doesn't mean on the weekend you can't. Or I'm a big fan of craft beer. I like going to breweries and the social aspect, and it's fun, but that beer makes you fat. So like, kind of limiting it, like on the weekend if I want to do that, things like that. So when it comes to nutrition and things like that, what are your recommendations when people are kind of trying to figure out how to limit, where to limit, and like what to limit?
So first things first, just to boil it down real simple, I like to follow what's called the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time you try to just be as healthy as possible in terms of like your meals that you're having. You limit your liquid calories, like it could be alcohol, it could be sodas, whatever, things that just don't really fill you up but add up in terms of calories.
Right.
And 20% of the time you allow yourself that cheat meal, that thing that you crave, whether it's some people are sweets people, some people are more savory, maybe some people like like yourself, you said you like craft beer. All of that
I think
fits
it's a
in.
social aspect too, though. Honestly, I think it, but I do. Sorry, just
Well, I mean I mean that's fine. It all fits in. It all fits in with a good healthy diet. Um, the thing that I've found that's kind of been tried and true for myself and some of my clients over the years, when you eliminate something, all you're doing is suppressing a craving, right? So I like to use sweets as the example because it's the holidays. A lot of people, like sugar. Oh my gosh, it's everywhere. Um, I'm a sugar person myself.
yeah, me too. You don't want to
So,
know how many cookies we made the other day. Literally, we have like 8 different kinds downstairs, and we've never
oh,
done that many.
my wife is upstairs finishing my, she might be done by now. Hopefully she's done. My last batch of cookies, my family's doing a cookie exchange. So we've got like 7 different style cookies upstairs. Oh, it's so tempting to just,
fun.
let me do a little sampler real quick.
Right. You have to. That's literally us downstairs. We've been giving them to people to try and get rid of it. I think we have like 7 to 9 different kinds.
Yeah. But so sweets was the example. So if you try to, we were talking about cookies, perfect example. If you try to cut out cookies, bless you, from your diet, it might work. Bless you. It might work for a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. And then you're going to find yourself in some situation, whether it be you're having a cookie exchange and there's 7 different types of cookies right in front of your face. You're at some sort of social gathering and you wind up at the dessert table. Bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry, it's so many times.
That's okay. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is it's going to, that particular thing that you're trying to eliminate is going to find a way back into right in front of your face.
Yeah.
And it's a true test of willpower, for lack of a better way of saying it. And most of the time what happens is at the end of the day, it's just a craving.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to completely eliminate it, you're going to get to a point where you're like, forget it. I'm having the cookie, or I'm having the whatever it might be that is your craving. And because you've tried to completely eliminate it, you've deprived yourself of that. You've not let yourself have whatever it is. As soon as you take that first bite, it's just floodgates open.
True.
And so I don't like going back to the initial question of like advice. That's why I like that 80-20 rule, because it never cuts anything out completely.
I think that's really good.
But it cuts the things that can be hindering in terms of progress with your fitness journey down to a point where you can still enjoy it, but it's not going to hinder your progress in terms of whatever goal you're working towards, whether it's weight loss, muscle gain, you name it.
I feel like with something I've learned too when cutting out things is like the less you eat of something though, and you try and cut it into, correct me if I'm wrong, but like if you cut out cookies for a month, you crave it less because you haven't been eating it. So when you eat it, it's still good, but I feel like it's not as good anymore unless you start like consistently eating them all the time.
That is true. Yeah, that is true for quite a few things. The thing there is just if you
processed food.
Yeah, if you find yourself where you're in a situation where you're reintroducing it on a regular basis, then that craving will start to creep back in. If it's just here and there, that should be you should be fine.
Yeah, and I think that 80-20 is like pretty fair, because I feel like some people are like, you need to cut it all out now, like it's like, or they'll be like 98-2 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like 80-20 still makes, even though obviously the 80% is way higher than the 20, you still feel like you have some like wiggle room. It's like a fifth.
Right. So the reason that fits so well for me is you just break the week down Monday through Friday, and then either Saturday, Sunday, or for some people they like to do Monday through Thursday and then like Friday through Sunday. So if you do Monday through Friday and then Saturday, Sunday, 80% of the work week is right there. So if you can stick to your diet, limiting the processed foods, limiting, the sugar, the savory stuff if you're a savory person, making sure that you're getting, a good source of fruits and veggies every day, good source of protein with every meal.
Yeah.
And you can do it Monday through Friday, boom, that's 80% right there. And then Saturday or Sunday as kind of like a, nice job. You can, go out and have that social beer or social drink that you enjoy, or you can, have that dessert that you've been wanting all week, but, not let yourself have because you've earned it. And that's just really, I think, the biggest tip that I can give in terms of nutrition.
It's a good one.
In terms of other small tips, hydration is also very key. That's something that's very easy to be, there you go, to be forgotten. And at the end of the day, whatever your goal is, nutrition is always going to play an important role. And the reason that that's the case is because if you're trying to lose weight, right, the amount of calories that we're taking in needs to be less than what we're actually burning off from exercise.
Right.
And if you're trying to gain weight, put on muscle, the amount of calories that you're taking in needs to be more than what you're burning off through exercise. And the reason I bring that up is it's not so much important for somebody that's trying to add weight, but for somebody who's trying to lose weight, we're talking about hydration here. Your body, if it's dehydrated, it can think, oh, I'm hungry, when really a big swig of, your water a couple times and all of a sudden you're not hungry anymore. And if that's happening multiple times throughout the week, and each time it happens, you're turning to eat something instead of just let me drink some water, let me see if like I get that, if it settles.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now at the end of the week, you've created this huge, extra source of calories that you've taken in and made it that much more difficult to get to whatever goal you're trying to achieve on a weekly basis in terms of like your calorie intake or, your weight loss or whatever it might be.
Yeah. No, that's excellent. I think that the way you're putting everything, like I said before, is very real. I feel like it's very tangible type things. Like you're not making it seem too hard. Like it definitely is hard, and you have to have that willpower. I lack willpower in a lot of areas sometimes. You have to have consistency, but you can do it. It's just it's a mental thing. You have to just like invest in yourself.
Yep.
And like be prepared for it.
And they say it's about 3 weeks.
To form a habit?
3 weeks or so to form a habit. And the ironic thing, the reason I think that fits so well with kind of my approach to things is it's about 3 weeks or so that you also might notice, like if you just start working out or you start, whatever it might be, walking, jogging, running, lifting weights, that's the time that you also start to feel better, see some changes. And so it kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah.
I don't know if I knew that.
Yep.
Well, that's good to know.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's good. Do you have any just like overall tips as we kind of like finish up, just for people that are interested in whether it be fitness or just starting their own business, and just maybe someone that's in fear of following their dreams because there's a lot of like uncertainty?
So the biggest thing I would say is don't let yourself kind of live in fear or hide behind the comfort life.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is, for me, like I got to a point, I started at Gold's, I had, one client, I worked my way up. That was my full-time job. I didn't have another job. I got to a point where I was living very comfortably. Even with some of the things that they did, they changed some of our compensation plan and whatnot. But I was hiding behind, I knew in the back of my head when I got into fitness that I wanted to have my own business. Yet for 5 years, even though it was a stepping stone to get me to this point, I was hiding behind that source of comfort. Like, oh yeah, this is familiar. It's fun. I see the same people every day. I get a steady paycheck. Don't let that keep you. If you really want to go for it, go for it. There's never been a better time now to be an entrepreneur and just to, make the jump and start with a fresh, clean slate.
Yeah. And like we said before, even though, the vaccines are going out and stuff might open up and like we might get to live a little bit more so like we did in the past, things are still going to be different. Like people are still going to be looking for things online. Small businesses, a lot of them had to shut down, but a ton of them have popped up and are doing really, really great. So, I mean, I think this is the time, this is the generation to learn to work for yourself, to figure out your passion and go for it.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is, like kind of at the beginning when we were talking about funds to get it started, that's also something that I think it scares a lot of people away.
For sure. That's why I asked too. That's a big one.
Yeah. I mean, it really, in all honesty, it really was not a whole lot in terms of funds to get started. So don't let that scare you either.
Yeah. And I mean, everyone moves at a different pace. Like if it does take you a month or two to, save up the $100 because you're paying for other things, if you want to start an LLC, or, you start with something super small, it's a hobby, and then you're just making it and people are like, oh, I love that. That's how a lot of people have started who sell products. Like over quarantine, started a hobby. We're making something and people are like, I'd buy that.
And I mean, that's, you just hit the nail on the head. There's my sisters, and my wife and my mom, last year, they haven't been able to do it this year because of COVID, but they go to a cookie decorating class.
I want to sign up. I've been looking into them, but I'm nervous because of COVID. I want to do cupcake decorating, but okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, it's something as simple. The point is, no matter what it is that you're thinking about, whether it's fitness, whether it's decorating cupcakes or cookies, there's something for everybody, and someone somewhere will pay to have that service offered. So even if you're the only one that thinks that this is a great idea, you're not alone. There's somebody out there that is right there with you. Like, why didn't I think of that?
Totally. And there's billions of people on the planet. So one person says no, you try again. And the thing is too, is a lot of people are doing similar stuff. How many people decorate cookies? How many people decorate, how many people garden? How many people work out? Like tons. But the thing is like you put your personality into it, you put you into it. Sometimes it's like the simplest thing, whether it be your logo, like something people remember.
Yep.
And then it can be so simple, your color scheme, I don't know, but something so small, just make it you and people will love it.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Key.
All kinds of stuff.
Everything, anything, everything and anything. People are selling all kinds of odds and ends too, and like sometimes you're like, what? But like you said, there's a crowd for it.
And the other real quick piece of advice I would say too is, you know, this has been obviously a very hard time for a lot of people, but if you can kind of find the silver lining, like for me, it's been a blessing. It's allowed me to get to that point and just really, you know, have the time to make the jump. A lot of people are kind of, again, going back to our previous conversation about quarantine, they're looking for stuff to do. There's not a whole lot of things that we can do right now. So
Right.
if you're somebody out there that's got that clever idea or mindset, or, you know, maybe itch to start your own business with something unique, it only takes one or two people, and then, you know, there you go. You've got something started.
That being said, guys, I got 2 big launches with some of my crazy ideas in January, so I'm excited. Yeah, I'm like that kind of person. It's always like moving around in my brain. There's so many things, but I have 2 big things I'm doing in January. So I'll
That's
definitely, awesome. Yeah, it's a lot, but you just have to find the right people. And also know that not everyone's going to be in your corner, but find the right people that will be, because once you have that support, even if it is just one other person who like cheers you on, be your biggest fan as hard as it can be. Find the right people to surround yourself with. And the haters are going to hate, but they're not worth your time.
Yep.
They're not worth your time. I was thinking about that today. I was like, so if anyone's ever really negative to me, how am I going to work through that to just not let it get to me? Of course it does. But I've been trying to just like preparing myself, you know, for anything.
Yep. And, you know, I've had that too with clients. You know, some clients have been like, when I first made the jump and I, you know, told them this is what I was doing, I was really passionate about it. I was like, you know, right, pushing forward. And they're like, is this really what you want to do? You know, I don't know if I want to train with you outside. And you just have to get to a point where you, not in a bad way, but like you don't care. You know, there will be, you move on, exactly. And there'll be another client that takes that person's spot.
For sure. My grandma said a long time ago, and this was more so about friends and relationships, but everybody has like a vase of flowers, and sometimes like, you know, your flowers all bloom tall, but then sometimes like one might wilt, and it doesn't mean that they're not there anymore or that they died necessarily, but they just are at the bottom, and they were like, yep, closed chapter, but then a new one blooms in their place. And for me with past relationships and friendships, that's helped me a lot, because it's like it mattered when they were a part of your life, but now you just someone else. Swap it out, you know, but not in a negative way. Just life moves on.
Yep, absolutely.
So Brendan, this has been so awesome. I'm actually so impressed. Not that I didn't think I would be, but like more than I expected. Like, no, that's not what I meant. Like this, just you're doing so many great things. You're so authentic, so wonderful. It's just our conversation went great. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but this was awesome.
This was awesome. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course, you're welcome. Where can people go to find you when looking for you?
So I'm aiming by the start of the new year to have my website up and running. If you go there now, you were telling me that you find a bunch of just random stuff, which is...
Yeah, it was like, should I ask about that stuff too?
Yeah, so don't go there now, but the website name is just going to be my name, brendandonnellanfitness.com. Yep. And you'll be able to see, there'll be testimonials, there'll be a list of things that I offer, kind of the rundown that we talked about earlier. You can find, I'm going to sell programs on there at some point, so you'll be able to go on and look at specific workout programs based on what your goals are. And then that will be live, like I said, hopefully at the start of the new year.
Awesome.
And then I think I gave you, or that Ellie's going to put the contact info if you're interested in any sort of training, or if you just need to talk or advice, tips.
Sure.
They can email me.
Okay. Yeah.
It's same thing, brendandonnellanfitness at gmail.com.
Cool. Yep.
And I'll get you at some point, just because I know you've got a huge following. I will get you business cards at some point. So if there's anybody that is local that would like a business card, or just wants to go that route, they can have that. You can give them. Yeah. Well, and I have those. Those actually are finished. I just don't have them yet. All this stuff, again, for anybody out there that's thinking about doing this, you just have to be patient. A lot of these companies that are doing this kind of stuff are
So backed
just
up.
behind, yeah, because of COVID. So
Okay.
I apologize. I was aiming to have all this done, but we'll get there.
No, you're doing great. There's a lot of good stuff coming. I will wait to put your website. I'll like tag it after your website's live so people don't click on it and get confused. But I'll add
Yep.
your email and contact info right now. And then you
Perfect.
want your Instagram on there or your Facebook right now?
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook.
Cool.
Feel free. You can send me a Facebook message or you can message me on Instagram. And like I said, I have a personal Instagram, so that one's private. But if they search Brendan Donnellan Fitness, that's
Sure,
public,
that's fine.
and they can go on there. There's a ton of tips, workouts, all kinds of stuff. I'm in the process of redoing my workout space, so it's been a while since I posted on there, but I haven't gone silent.
It will happen. Yeah, it'll be up soon.
Yeah, so awesome.
Yeah, don't even worry. Well, thank you so much. Your future is looking so bright. You have so many great things to offer. Like I said, the authenticity is clear from the jump. Lucky that I get to know you personally, but I know that everyone else that got to see you and hear you speak this evening was able to see that too. So yeah, I'm very excited to see you grow and thrive, and I'm glad that I get to be a part of it. And truthfully, I think that the Instagram worked better than Facebook because there's been a ton of people. I don't know if you've been keeping track of the numbers and stuff, but there's been a ton of people who have been on this call and commented, and this has been really, really good.
Yeah, I like the what's the word I'm looking for? The engaging.
Lots of engagement. Yeah, definitely a lot of engagement. So I think this time of night is good. A lot of people are on social media, so it's a good time to get people's attention.
And then anybody else that missed it maybe tonight can see it tomorrow too. So
Yep, I'll post it, and I will. My phone was acting funny, but I'll figure out how to send it to you. If not tonight, I'll get it to you by tomorrow.
Cool. That'd be awesome.
All right, Brendan, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you soon.
You too, Ellie. Thank you so much again for having me on.
Of course. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.